Hi there, you're watching ET Now, India's #1 business news channel. The show is called News First at 6 and I'm Ruchi Bhatia. Straight to the top story at this hour, Fortis will consolidate its hospital and diagnostic businesses under two listed entities. We have the management of Fortis with us on more on this. Let's cut across.
2-3 weeks back at our most recent board meeting, our board had authorized us to explore options to maximize value for shareholders, unlock value. There are multiple ways to do that, and one of the things we said then was that we were exploring the whole demerger route. This afternoon at our board meeting, we had a meeting with our board this afternoon. We've been given permission to move forward with the demerger process. Now, slightly complex, but in its most simplest terms, we have two entities today. We have the Fortis Healthcare entity, which is a listed entity, and then we have a Fortis Muller entity, which houses a pathology diagnostic business, and the Fortis Muller Hospital. So one of the first steps that's happening is that the Muller Hospital, Fortis Healthcare is buying that, acquiring that hospital, and that will now sit in the Fortis Hospital entity. The diagnostic business, the SRL diagnostic business, is going to get demerged from Fortis, and that entity, that new business, the SRL business, is going to sit in that Muller entity. So the Muller entity will house the pathology diagnostic business that was there, some investments, and the SRL business. It will then be referenced and referred to as SRL Limited. So then what we'll have is, we'll have the Fortis Healthcare business, which is the Fortis Hospital business, plus the Fortis Muller Hospital. So the hospitals are all under one roof. The SRL business is going to shift to what was the Fortis Muller entity, and we'll have the existing diagnostic business and the SRL business, and again all diagnostics under one roof as well. That will be SRL Limited. So that's one piece of it, just in terms of the entities and what's happening to them. From a shareholding perspective, every Fortis shareholder, for every one share that they have in Fortis today, will receive 0.98 shares of the new entity, which was the erstwhile Muller entity, soon to be SRL Limited. So for every 100 shares, I would get 98 shares in this new entity. The SRL business, as you're probably aware, 56% ownership is with Fortis, 44% consists of other shareholders. The other shareholders in the SRL business will now receive 10.8 shares of that new Muller entity, soon to be SRL Limited. So several moving pieces. The net outcome is that the hospitals sit under one entity, with the Muller Hospital moving to Fortis Healthcare. The diagnostic business sits in the old Muller entities, soon to be called SRL, with the diagnostic business that was there. The Fortis shareholder, for every one share, receives 0.98 shares. The investors in SRL, the 44%, for every one share, receives 10.8 shares.
Yeah, it is a rather
fairly simple.
Yeah, depends how you look at it, which side you're sitting on. What is the valuation of that hospital? Is it a lump sum deal?
The hospital is being sold at a price of 43 crore. And that's based on, we've been working with PwC, who's been working with us on some of the values around some of these things, and 43 crore is the value, the purchase price that we're paying for the Muller Hospital.
And that's a lump sum sale, obviously.
It's a sale. It's an outright sale.
Okay. Before I get down to specifics and discuss the valuations a little more, why now? What has been the trigger? Could it perhaps be that, you all have been looking at what's been happening with Dr. Lal at Thyrocare? Has that also been a factor that's been taken in for the timing, the sheer timing of this deal?
Look, at the end of the day, Fortis Healthcare, a leading healthcare player in the country, a great brand, a tremendous reputation with our patients, our doctors, our nurses. You have the pathology, the diagnostic business. The SRL business is the leading diagnostic player in the country. From a geographic presence perspective, the most amount of labs, the most amount of collection centers, from a complexity of test perspective. So by far and away, the most respected brand in diagnostics. We've talked about this before. We've said, what's the best way to unlock value? I think the timing is a function of, certainly, obviously we see what's happening around us, but I think it's more, if you think longer term, it's really about how do you continue to build strength on strength with both the hospital business and the diagnostic business. So there's an unlocking value piece from a shareholder perspective, but when you look out ahead, the hospital business operating as an independent entity with just the hospitals, I think becomes a much stronger entity. I think the opportunity to grow is quite significant. The diagnostic business, again, as an independent entity, separate, again, we'll have a complete separate distinct board, shareholders, everything. I think they have the opportunity to continue their strong presence in the market. So I think it's a couple of different things that factor into it, but I think the most important is how do you position both of these businesses to be successful going forward, and I think this is a great way to do it.
And what's in it for shareholders? You're talking about unlocking value, but what's in it for the shareholders?
Well, from a shareholder perspective, just think about what I said. Now, if I'm sitting there with if I have 100 shares in Fortis, I maintain my 100 shares in Fortis, but I'm also getting 98 shares in this new diagnostic business. Now, we just come off a very strong first. We certainly think that Fortis, our results are going to continue to get stronger as we go forward. So I think what you end up, while you had one strong entity with two strong brands in it, you end up with two businesses very strong, both leading market positions, and both that are going to grow quite substantially. So I think from unlocking value, I think you'll have some initially when once this deal is completed, which will take 9 to 12 months to do. So you'll certainly have some value that will get unlocked. But if you start looking out in the next 12, 18, 24, 36 months, I think the opportunity for it to grow is quite substantial. So if as a shareholder, I'm pretty excited about what's going on, I would think.
You're also simplifying, if I may say so, the entire group structure, if I may say so. You have the diagnostics under one arm, have the hospital business under the other. Does that become more lucrative for potential investors? Are you planning at all to go into the market, talk to private equity or any kind of investors? Is there any capital raising that we might see?
So I think that companies like ours, you always leave options like that open. Having said that, I think that you're right. I think this does simplify things. I think having all the hospitals together under one umbrella, under one operating entity certainly helps. I think it makes things much simpler. I think that going forward, the opportunity to grow will be quite substantial. Our bed strength, we're sitting at 4,000 plus beds today. We think that bed count is going to continue to grow at 5, 10, 15% every year. There's no reason that we shouldn't be 7, 8, 9,000 beds in the next 5, 7 years. So I think the growth opportunity, similarly for the SRL business, from a diagnostics perspective, from a number of centers, we're growing in the radiology business as well as the pathology business. I think they'll continue to grow as well. So I think that the opportunity to bring in investors, listen, I think you keep options like that open. I think you explore it, look and see what's the right thing at the right time. But
how will you fund these growth for this growth? Like for example, you talk about 9,000 beds. How are you going to fund this expansion?
Well, we're funding it. For any organization, you always look at a healthy level of debt. There's certainly cash being generated by the business itself, but as appropriate, we can certainly raise some debt if required. But you also look for the business to generate cash.
Fortis Healthcare, they're realigning their business, and the management speaking exclusively to ET now, explaining the rationale of that realignment in their businesses. But in fact, let's move on and talk about the telecom sector.